We're going to discuss a very, very sensitive topic: how to come to peace when your heart is broken. This is a sensitive, beautiful, big topic, so let's get right into it. I carefully chose the words finding peace when your heart is broken for a reason. I did not write or suggest that you are to seek happiness when your heart is broken. When someone is seeking happiness, when someone is seeking a temporary fix, a temporary situation, we can find happiness. For example, you're buying a brand new car. You're buying a brand new car. And the car is beautiful. It's the car that you've always wanted, perhaps since you're a young teenager, and you finally saved up the money. You got the bank approving your loan, and off you go, and you get you a brand new Corvette, or you get you a brand new ragtop car. You get some beautiful car that you've always wanted, and you pull into the driveway. You feel like $1,000,000, and you feel very, very happy. You feel fulfilled. You feel satisfied. It's the one missing peg in the system that you feel, if I only had that car, I would feel complete, I would feel whole. And in that short term experience, you really probably do feel that way. I mean, it's you polishing it, you're taking it for rides, you're showing it off to your friends and family, taking pictures. It's awesome. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying a beautiful automobile. And there are many people, friends of mine, that have got beautiful cars, and they really enjoy taking them out for rides on a sunny day, and they take meticulous care of them. However, one day someone bumps into your car and dents your door. One day a rock falls off of the side of a campsite and cracks the windshield on your new camper. One day birds pass by and leave something on your windshield. One day the tire explodes and you have to replace it. And all of a sudden, that car that gave you so much happiness has suddenly shifted into a source of discomfort, disappointment, frustration. So when we use the word happiness, we are talking about a very, very temporary state of mind. Happiness comes and goes just like the wind. One day you're happy, one day you're sad, one day you're happy, one day you're sad, and in between it seems that life is just moving along. And I think that's true by description for most of us, right? We have these short bursts of happiness, then it's kind of leveled off, and then we go into the valley, and then we come out again and seek happiness again. It's even written in our own country's constitution, the pursuit of happiness, implying that we are looking to pursue happiness. So going back to the topic, going back to the title, I specifically wrote in the word peace. Peace transcends happiness on a much, much deeper level. A much, much deeper level. So before we get into that, I want to describe this other part when your heart is broken. In my work with grief, in my work with dealing with people that I meet almost on a daily basis, I meet with folks that walk into my office, and in some cases their husband has died, their wife has passed away, they're dealing with the loss of a sibling, they're dealing with the loss of a lover, they're dealing with the loss, with all respect, especially the death of their child. And that is what most people consider to be grief. But there are other kinds of grief. You know, I think you guys know this. You have the grief of finding out that you have terminal cancer. Terminal cancer. An incurable fact within your biology that you know that down the road that death is coming and treatment is on the table, and you're going to probably lose your hair and go through all of the protocols of cancer treatment. There's a great deal of grief involved in that. You have the grief of a child, for example, who walks out the front door and wants nothing to do with you, your family, your husband, your wife. They just walk out and say, "The hell with all of you guys. I can't stand it here anymore." And they disappear into the air, and you don't know where the hell they went. That is a huge source of grief. You have the grief of finding out that you have an amputation coming of your limb, or that you have become paralyzed in a car accident and you're awoken from a coma or you're coming out of a coma, and the neurological team surrounds you and they grab your hand and say, "We're sorry to tell you this, but you are no longer going to be able to use your legs. Your lower limbs have been rendered useless. We're setting you up for physical therapy, and the process will begin starting tomorrow." There are many, many, many types of grief. I have a very, very close friend of mine who was in a very significant relationship for 19 years. 19 years with a wonderful person. And for whatever dynamics took place, about 2 years ago, the relationship came to its ending. And the female part of the relationship said, "I just can't go any further. You're a wonderful man. I think you're great. I love you. But I have children from other relationships. I have to move away, moving out of state." And she basically left him standing at the door, heartbroken, just heartbroken. And I spoke with him just in the last few days, and he remains as such. It's been almost 2 years now, and he can't quite get past that the person he thought he would spend his life with, who he really had invested 19 years with, was no longer able to continue the journey with him into a marital state and to finish out the last 20, 25 years of his life, hopefully on earth, with someone he deeply fell in love with. And she said no. And he is still grieving. He is still grieving. So this topic, I hope he's listening in as well, because I'm not going to mention names, but he knows who I am. If you know who I'm talking about, you absolutely know this conversation. So when I brought up the idea of finding peace, how does this occur? I mean, how do we come to a place where not we're just fooling ourselves, tricking ourselves, avoiding ourselves, trying to talk ourselves into some kind of spiritual mojo, not trying to dissuade ourselves by amplifying some cosmic ideas, trying to suppress or repress the feelings that we have. I meet a lot of people that do that. They come in to see me, and I can see it in their eyes. And I'm not blaming anyone, nor am I judging them. But I say, "How are you feeling after your daughter passed away?" "Oh, I'm okay. We're dealing with it just fine." And I look into their eyes, and I could see the untruth in what they're telling me. But they need to convince themselves that they are okay. And on a certain level, I understand that. I do. You have to kind of fake it till you make it, you might hear sometimes in programs of recovery. Make believe you're getting better. At least act as if you are, even though you know you're not. And I have always found that to be very unsettling, because my boss has always said, only the truth will set you free of your suffering. Only the truth will set you free. So one of the doorways of peace is the absolute acknowledgement, the absolute acceptance that you scream out to the world, scream out to the God of your understanding, scream out the window if you must, and say, "My heart is broken. I am suffering terribly. I am collapsing in my own skin. I cannot get out of bed. I am heartbroken, and I am grieving deeply." In that moment, a total shift takes place. And I'm not talking on the surface of saying this. I'm talking on a gut-wrenching, dark night of the soul expression of this, where you are absolutely at the end of all things, and you call out and say, "Whatever the God of your understanding may, I need help." In that single statement, you have left, "I'm going to fix myself," playing God to myself, and I have now shifted to asking the universe at large to please gather to me and help me heal through this. This is an extremely important statement. We just came out of Passover. We just came out of Easter. In my Catholic faith, I am very devoted to the Christ. This is not a religious chat. I'm not asking you to do anything religiously here, please. But I'm only sharing me, okay? This is personal for me. And one of the statements that I saw and heard and read is when Jesus was nailed to the cross, his suffering was unbearable. Unbearable. He was nailed to wood, he was scourged, he was tortured, hanging up on a cross for day after day, can't get down, can't escape from his suffering. No magic calling out to God, no coming up and blowing up the mountains, no pulling him off the cross. None of that took place. And he came to this moment where he said, Father, his boss, he says, Father, if it is thy will, let this be done. Let this be done. And in that moment of complete surrender and complete acceptance, the image of the cross turned around and it became the light of hope for billions and billions of people around the world. The cross was no longer a torture instrument, became a symbol of peace, love, and hope. It was through the suffering, through the agony that Jesus endured, that the resurrection of light, peace, and hope came through. Now that is a symbol for all of humanity, not just for the Christ. That was the demonstration of the Christ. But what that amazing human was teaching us was that whatever the personal cross you are bearing, whether it be the death of your husband, the excruciating death of your child, the paralysis of your limbs, whatever that is, it is when you fully accept, no denial, no rationalizing, no games, no mumbo jumbo, completely accept that which you are experiencing, a gift of grace, a gift of peace will be given unto you. You may not accept this right away, you may not feel this, and you may have made the statement, I've done this already, I have already done it. But there's another level of emptying out that will continue. So on one level of this little chat here, I want you to understand, please, that you have to fully accept what is true. No playing with that. You have to say, what is true is my child has died. What is true, I can't breathe. What is true, I can't think. What is true, I can't lift myself out of bed. That is the truth of what I am. And it is through that wound that the healing grace enters. There's an amazing poet from Persia. I've mentioned him in these chats from time to time. His name was Melavan Rumi. In the 12th century, this guy, you're going back 1,000 years ago. And his teachings are still reverberating throughout the world to this day. And that man said, it is through the wound, that the healing light of peace enters. In images of the Buddha, in images of the Christ, and other very beautiful spiritual teachers, they often show their chest and open their wounds to the world. And the light of healing enters through. It is a metaphor that when you open up completely, a miracle of recovery will happen. It doesn't mean that your suffering leaves. No. It doesn't mean it goes away magically and you just say, oh, la-di-da, everything is great. That is not peace. That is avoidance. Wrapped in packages of cellophane and pretty bows and all kinds of cosmic dust and all kinds of stuff. But deep down, you know, and so do I, and it's also true of me, that deep down, I miss my mom. I miss my baby brother. I miss my dad. Right before I got on here, I'm a little hesitant to share it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right here, right on before I got on with you guys, 15 minutes before I got on to this talk tonight, one of my very best fans found his son dead in his bedroom 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago. He just found his child dead. And he called me, said, Robert, I need you. And I had to explain, I get back to you as soon as we're done here. We'll get back to him. Because the fact that his son has died cannot be reversed. Me rushing to get to him is not going to change his sorrow. I said a prayer with him over the phone to my boss. I always call him my boss because he is my boss. And I said, Eddie, his name is Eddie, I said, I'll get back to you in a half hour, 45 minutes. And I will. When I get done with you guys, I'm going to go talk with my friend. And I'll do whatever it takes to help him as best as I can do that for him. But he is not at peace. He is heartbroken, right? So how does one come to this peace? And I just echoed it with the Christ on the cross. Peace is a transcendence. Now, there are two levels of consciousness. I don't want to get too metaphysical here, but I want to explain it to you. There is the level of consciousness which we call thought. Your thoughts, the way you perceive things, the way you think of things, your responses to things, it comes through your upbringing, it comes through how you've been conditioned as a family unit. There's many variables that kind of digest and create how you react to things or how you're expected to respond to things, right? So in most people and in most cases, what their head says is how they live it. And what the thoughts say generates the emotions behind it. The emotions behind it. A very simple example. If you don't think it, the body doesn't respond to it. If you don't think it, if you shut it off, it will give you a sense nothing's wrong, right? Nothing is wrong. And many people seek this in various ways. They seek it through superstitions. They seek it through fantasy. They seek it through drugs recreationally. They seek it through alcohol. They seek it through hiding out in movie theaters. They seek it through shopping. They seek it through gambling. They seek it through having affairs with other people. They seek it in all other ways. Anything to avoid the pain that I'm experiencing. I am not going to deal with this pain. I'm going to go under the surface of the pain. I will live in the lower chasms of the human mind, and I will dwell there so I can knock myself out, anesthetize myself, and deny the truth that my soul will not release. Those who seek peace cannot find it in the lower realms. It cannot be done, because eventually, no matter how much you hold yourself underwater, no matter how long you play in that cesspool kind of in a way, you're going to eventually have to come up through the surface and seek air. And then there are people who live in another realm. You have thought and below thought. We're not looking to go there. We have thought and that which rises above thought. This is called the transcendental or the transcendent state, where you step back and witness your thoughts from some other position. What is all that about, right? So one of the questions I ask when I do workshops and when I talk with people, I ask them straight up, what is it within you that watches yourself think? We know we are thinking, we know we're thinking, but how do we know it? Because thought cannot watch thought. Thought cannot watch thought. Thus the very famous expression out of Japan, the eye that can see cannot see itself. Unless you look in the mirror, which is a reflection, not the real thing, it's only an image. Your eye cannot see itself. It can see the whole world, but it can't see itself. Thought cannot see itself. It cannot. It will generate its own moving card game to keep all the players moving, and it will cash in chips and go broke and all that other stuff, which causes great suffering. But what if you could step back, sit back, and say, what is this part of me that witnesses thought? What is this? My friends, we call this consciousness. Your consciousness, or what some people prefer to call the soul, witnesses thought. It is the absolute witness to thought itself. Now, when you are witnessing thought, there's a great peace that comes with that, because you're not making the thoughts personal. Yes, you feel them on a personal level, but you're not making them personal. That is the huge difference between someone who was suffering and someone who sees the doorway to peace through the suffering. They understand and they can fully see that this is available. It is not something you can force. It is not something that you can make happen. Many people enjoy prayer. I happen to be one of them. I pray quite a bit. And one of the things I've written about sometimes is that prayer is not a negotiation. Prayer is not a bargaining. Prayer is not a pleading. Prayer is not a threat. Prayer is the simple act of accepting God's will and grace and his love and grace as he chooses to offer it. That's it. Prayer is the simple acceptance of what is true, of what is. The great metaphysical Christian, Meister Eckhart, some of you may have heard of him, was asked, what is the greatest prayer that you have ever spoken? This is about the 14th century. And Meister Eckhart said, the greatest prayer I ever say to the Father is thank you. And people said, are you kidding me? You have this horror, you have got that, you've got this, you've got these terrible sufferings. You're saying thank you? He said, yes. I am thankful for everything that has been given to me. My legs that walk, my arms that move, my eyes that see, the family that I had, the food that I've eaten. I am thankful for the bed I sleep in. This is a soul that points to peace. Peace comes, my friends, from not below the surface. Peace cannot be found in the mind flow. You cannot find it in thought. You can try to talk yourself into happy thoughts. You're welcome to try. And I'm not telling you not to try. You certainly are welcome to try. But you will eventually become frustrated and exhausted because thoughts will always come back and attack. And you know this because you're looking at the ceiling in bed, you're crying out the door, you can't catch your breath because the thoughts of what happened will not leave you alone, right? And this kind of brings me to my next piece. Your ego, your personality, yourself, what we call yourself, not your real self, but your kind of artificial self, the one you've created, the one people told you you are, the image you present of yourself, all of that is involved, right? And that self is always being pulled into the past of what happened. It'll keep going back. Oh my God, this happened, this happened, this happened. She broke up with me. He broke my heart. My car had an accident. Oh my God, my daughter. Oh my God, oh my God. And that is part of human memory, and it is very, very natural for that to take place. It is. The other part of your thoughts are going to yank you into the future. What will happen if this happens? What will happen if that happens? I don't know what I'm going to do if this happens. I don't know what I'm going to do if that happens. Oh my God, it's probably going to happen again. I can see it coming. My other son, oh my God, I want to lock him in the basement. I've never wanted to leave the house. I can't handle it. Another, oh my God. And you do it, and you go down that route. Either you're being pulled into the misery of the past or the suffering you're creating in your own mind into the future. In either case, you are not in the moment. The direct doorway to peace, the direct door to peace, like right now, is in this moment. And if you really are sincere, ask yourself, what is your biggest problem in this moment? Now, your mind might say, yeah, but my son died. That's true. That is true. That's a thought that occurred. That's true. I'm not minimizing any of it, please. But in this moment, what is the problem? And if you really sit still, you'll say, well, right in this very moment, I don't really have a problem. I don't. I'm just sitting here talking and my window's open and I can hear the birds and I'm talking to you guys. And the thought of my friend whose son just died just flashed through my mind. And that is part of this moment, but it's not pulling me away. It's not telling me to turn off our chat. It's not. And sometime down a little bit, I will get off with you guys and I'll go speak to my dear friend. And at that moment, I will be present with him and help him the best I can in that moment. And when I hang up the phone, if I have to drive over, I will, and I close the front door and give him a hug, in that moment, I'll come back and say, I'll move into the next moment. And that is a practice that has incredible healing powers. It is incredible. To bring my friend Jesus back in, my boss back into this, Jesus called this the daily bread. To be present with the light of grace in each moment. You cannot, friends, you cannot live in any other moment than this moment. And what people do, they're always seeking to go into the moments of the past where they find some kind of imagination that comforts them. That's fine, you can do it, but you're going to find there will be no healing in that. There will be no healing, there will be no peace being seeded out of that. Or you can advance yourself mentally and say, well, down the road I will get better. And you know what happens when you go down the road? Let's say a month from now, we're sitting here again. It'll be this moment. You can never not, ever not live in this moment or in the daily bread. You cannot. It's not possible. Peace can only rise within you when you truly sense this moment. When you sense this moment, you have entered the transcendent state, the state above thought. You can almost sit back and watch your thoughts dance. You can watch the drama of thinking, you can watch the movement of your emotions, and you do not have to get swept up or pulled into them. I know some of you are saying, yeah, it's easy for you to say this, whatever, but for me it's impossible, and I understand that. Please, I get that. I know it. It is very, very challenging to do it, but it is the simplest thing to do, is to live in the moment that your soul is living in. Your soul is sitting here, grace is coming to you, the whole universe surrounds you, everyone that has crossed over that loves you is here. And by the way, just a little side note, anyone that has crossed over only lives in the now. They only live in the present moment. That's why if you've ever seen me read, I always tell my guests, they're here with you now. They don't visit and come and go. They never leave the ones they love. So when you're really struggling and you truly pray, ask the ones that love you to guide you. It may not happen overnight. You may not get an explosion like stars going off in your head, but you will feel a very subtle shift. A sense of ease knowing that your daughter or your son or your husband or your mom or your dad or whoever is in God's grace and care. And they are. And you also will sense and feel that they are always with you, like a soft glow around you. And that is true. I'm not saying it because I'm pointing my fingers at you guys. It's true because I go through it every day, just about of the week for 27 years. I know it to be so. I know it to be so. And I want you guys to know it too. So whatever challenges you have, share them with people that love you. Share them with people that you feel counsel with. Share with people who form no judgment against you. Share with people. Ease the burden of sorrow through the offering to others. And they in turn will come back to you as well. Isolation, fantasy, hiding on a TV set, spending 6 hours a day in front of a video screen will heal nothing. Nothing. If you don't have the courage, ask. One of the greatest prayers I have ever heard in my lifetime, in recovery especially, is God, grant me the serenity. That person is saying out loud, God, I am not serene. I do not have serenity. I am fragile. I am heartbroken. I am sick. I am tired. I am exhausted. God, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change my brother's passing. I cannot change my brother's child that we found deceased. I cannot change it. I cannot change the loss of my parents. I can't. Please accept. Please give me the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom, not the thought. The serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can. You have the courage, and if you don't have it, ask for it sincerely, and it will be given to you. You will receive the courage, a courage you may not even realize that you possess. The courage to face life on life's terms, the courage to put your feet on the earth every given morning and give thanks for the life you are living. You honor those that have crossed by living well. You pray to them, you call to them, you cry for them, of course, still. We all do. I do. Well, of course I do. Tears are my unspoken prayers. Of course I cry. I don't walk around giggling all day long. I too have struggles like everyone else. What the hell? Zen masters have struggles. I mean, people think these spiritual guys walk around all day just floating on wind. They don't. They're humans. But what's the difference is they don't attach to their struggles. They handle them when they come up. They have a great peace because they know life is like a stream that moves. So to finish, I want to give you one more analogy. I live here in Merrick. Some of you probably know that. I don't know if you do or not, but I live on the south shore of beautiful Long Island, and we're blessed to be so close to the ocean. My wife and I, my family, we're ocean people. We're beach people. We love going down to Jones Beach and walking to Gilgo and all that stuff. Long Beach, Point Lookout. We lived in Point Lookout for a long time. And you go down there, and some days the ocean is calm. Other days it's chop. Other days the waves are really ripping. Boats are banging off the piers, and it's really tailing, right? But if you go out onto the salt a bit, and you speak to people that either deep dive or fishermen that go into deep water, down below the surface, down below, 50 yards, 100 yards, even deeper down, it is always calm. It is always still. This is your consciousness. The surface, where the waves are being challenged by the daily events of life, bouncing up and down, flatten up and down, roaring and crashing. That's the mind. That's the mind. When you really come to this deep, subtle place, when you witness yourself and see your thoughts as just the stream of consciousness, if you see it a little bit clearly, you're beginning to change. Because something within you is seeking this comfort. Back to my friend Rumi for a minute. The guy's amazing. He wrote a quote that said, "What you are seeking is also seeking you." Also seeking you. To finish, I'm going to give you a little quick story. There was a mother who lost her daughter. Her daughter's name was Sarah. And one night the mother was praying on the edge of her bed, crying, rosary beads, just crying. And all of a sudden, her mother experienced the rising of her daughter's soul. I mean, really right there, like a light. Not the imagination, not I want to believe, really coming. And the mother looked, rubbing her eyes, and she said, "Sarah, is this you? Is this really you?" And Sarah said, "Yes, Mommy, I'm here. It's me. I'm your daughter, Sarah. I've come to say hello." So the mother says to Sarah, "Sarah, you have to answer a question for me, sweetheart. When Mommy prays to you, I have been told by people that when I pray to you, a window will open up and you will come through that window to me. Is that true, Sarah? Is that true?" And Sarah said, "No, Mommy, that's not true." And the mother sat back like, What? They've been telling me this. And the mother's crying, and her daughter comes and kind of holds her and kisses her on the face and says, "Mommy, listen to me. How can there be any windows when there are no walls? I am with you always, Mom. Have no fear. I am here." And in that moment, that mother rose with a complete peace that took her over. And she knew, like many of you know deep down, that those that love you have never left you. And all of the grief and all of the struggles and all of the pain and all of the suffering are but bringing you to your personal cross, which is spinning around. And you too will come to know the peace of love, salvation, through the God of your understanding, whatever that may be. It is with you. The light of peace is constantly there. It has never left you. Never left you. So I want to thank you for sharing your time with me. I ask for your guys' prayers tonight for my friend. His name is Eddie. His son's name was Tommy. And if you can find a moment to say a prayer for this young man and his dad and his family, I'd appreciate it. Thank you all for joining me. God bless you all. Thanks.